Here I have shown you what this airport looks like. Why were we detained for 3 hours? They took our passports. We didn't say who we were going to see or why we were going. We were going to relax. Later, we thought that if, God forbid, we were questioned, we would provide the documents. Well, I will remind you once again that we did not plan to stay here and obtain any citizenship documents and so on. We simply planned to earn some money here. It is illegal, yes. But this is definitely prohibited, yet so many people do it. But in the end, on the 3rd or 4th day, we went to the Ministry of Internal Affairs and stayed here legally. We were already working and had submitted our documents. This process took us a very long time, but that's all for later. So, we went through the entire check. There is a small room at the airport where everyone is taken for this check. My spouse and I were sitting there. And besides us, there were other people. And in this room, they are already calling you for the interview. That is, you are already being called. There, with a representative from the Ministry of Internal Affairs, or whoever he is at the airport, and they interrogate you, asking who you are, why you came, what your goals are, and so on. You answer all these questions clearly and distinctly. After my husband was questioned, they called me in, and I provided the same information. We had only one thing with us, documents confirming that my husband has Jewish roots, specifically that his grandmother, grandfather, and father are all Jewish. However, we did not provide these documents. We simply came here as tourists to relax, just to remind you once again. And after that, once we had gone through all these checks, we sat for a little while longer, and then we were given a 10-day visa, since our tickets were purchased for 10 days. They gave us this visa, and then we exited the airport and breathed a sigh of relief. We don't know what to do next. We don't know where to go. Since it was the Sabbath, nothing was working. The agents through whom we decided to come here were supposed to meet us. According to the agreement, that is how it should be, but in reality, no one met us because everyone had a good rest on Friday, and on the Sabbath, of course, no one can drive. We are buying at the airport. There are places called exchange offices. We exchanged $200. Now I will open the window a little. We exchanged $200, and then we bought a SIM card. You can exchange money at the airport because the rate is approximately this, plus or minus. But don't buy SIM cards at the airport. Why? Because on the street they cost 30 shekels. I don't know, how many dollars is that? $8 to $10. But there it costs $70. 70. Because we were without communication, we panicked. We went outside. The airport area is enormous, and we didn't know where to go, what to do, or how to proceed. Here, we entered from this side, and we are leaving from this side. We live not far from the airport, about a 20-minute drive, or 15 minutes without traffic. What was I saying? We bought these SIM cards out of desperation. Why? Because we tried to reach out to everyone possible, to these agents. In the end, we somehow managed to get through to these agents. The agents tell us to call a taxi. We have no idea how to call this taxi. We somehow called for a taxi, found the app, and were told which app to download. This is Google Maps. You open it and there is something like a call, or Yango Taxi. But we were not familiar with this at all. We received a call and they told us which application to download and how to do everything. We downloaded all of this. Called a taxi, and drove to the city of Petah Tikva, where an agent met us. Then, we got into his car and paid for the taxi. At that time, it was about 150 shekels. Well, $50 for the taxi from the airport to Petah Tikva on the Sabbath. We arrived, and then we transferred to a car with this agent. He settled us into an apartment. The apartment had 4 rooms. And besides us, 3 other families lived there. The apartment was on the 4th floor in Petah Tikva. The conditions were normal, but the room had nothing in it except for a plastic locker and a tiny little window, like a small coffin. We were settled into this room. I would like to remind you once again that we arrived on the Sabbath and everything was closed. We want to eat and drink, but we have nothing. Fortunately, there were some other guys there besides us. There were 2 or 3 families. A guy with a girl, a husband with a wife, and then there's me with my spouse. After that, 2 guys moved in with us. He left us in this apartment, that's it, and went away. On the Sabbath, he said, just wait until everything opens. Okay? There are Russian stores here that are open on the Sabbath as well. We found out this address, followed the map, located the store, and bought some sausage, tea, and basically essential groceries to have at least a snack. To give you an idea, we had a layover during our flight, which took about 16 hours, plus we were also delayed at the airport for 3 hours. We arrived without having eaten or drunk anything. Airplanes don't serve food. They only provide a maximum of water to drink. We walked about 2 kilometers, plus minus 700 meters. I don't clearly remember anymore, because now we have already changed cities. We are living in a different city now. We walked one way, then another, and now we are walking back with our bags. But we can't remember where we live. We can't input this address again, and we are lost. Thanks to the fact that everyone here is such wonderful and good people, we tell them that we need an address, and they input that address for us. In the end, if this road takes us 30 minutes, we only get home after an hour and a half. The guys are asking us if we really got lost. We haven't exchanged numbers with anyone yet, nothing at all. Finally, after some time, we are finally home. We just sat down at the table, had these sandwiches, little sandwiches, ate, snacked, and then this agent calls us. I just want to lie down. We wanted to land somewhere, but we had nothing. There is just a plastic table and a plastic cabinet in the room. At 10 o'clock, this agent called us. We went to the store and bought ourselves a bed and a mattress. Well, in the essentials, we spent one night there. Thank God. Finally, when I arrived, I felt like crying. My husband and I have already started looking for hotels through Booking Hostel. They cost at least $150 here. Well, someplace, it's very expensive. We thought about it and decided to sit on this little chair on the floor in this room and wait for these 10 hours until the pathologist arrives. This is the story that happened to us. It was only our first day. After that, we stayed at home for 2 to 3 days. Then, that was our biggest mistake. What did we do next? We would have been better off not doing that. As a result, we faced problems with obtaining documents later on. What we did next, you will find out in the next video. So, subscribe to not miss it.